Kevin's just not a hat guy.
That's not entirely true.
Don't you have a collection of hats from
I
golf
guess
courses?
most of the time when you're on here, I guess you don't have a hat on. But
I do buy a hat every time I go to like a really nice golf course. I always get a hat.
You got that Cascada hat?
I do have the Cascada hat. It's a sick course.
It was a great weekend.
It was a great weekend.
Should do it again.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Next weekend. Just, hey, impromptu boys trip. Welcome into the show. Watch the Walk-Ons podcast. Grant could come this time. Come out to Vegas.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, the Raiders home. We could go watch a Raiders game.
The Broncos just smacked the Raiders in their building very recently, so just missed it, but maybe next year.
Bo Nix, Bo leave.
Oh, we've been believing. I am the biggest believer, right? And you will be believing soon as well.
I actually need Bo Nix to have like negative fantasy points. That'd be great if that's possible.
Well, Kevin, I do want you to have happiness in life, and I think you deserve it. But unfortunately, I think I will be rooting for Bo Nix to do well on Monday night. So
I won't hold it against you.
All right, good.
Breaking news as we enter the podcast today. I wouldn't say it's super. I wouldn't call it super unexpected. Oh, and I'm just again. This is just going to have to be. How does one zoom in on this?
You just you.
Jesus Christ!
Just let me pull it up. I'll figure it out.
You pull it up. Caleb Johnson is declaring for the NFL draft.
Not entirely unexpected.
Stunning.
Crazy development at Iowa City.
Who could see it coming?
Says, gosh, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but as I write this letter, my heart's filled with gratitude and appreciation for the incredible journey. The Iowa Hawkeyes. Been an honor. Gives a little message to the fans, a little message to the coaches, message to his teammates. After much thought and reflection, I've decided to take the next step in my journey and declare for the 2025 NFL Draft. This decision was not made lightly, but it is with great excitement and anticipation that I embrace the challenges and opportunities ahead. The foundation I built here at Iowa has prepared me for this moment, and I carry the Hawkeye spirit with me as I move forward. I mean, this was coming. You don't have a season like he did as a third-year guy and decide to run it back, I mean, I guess you could, but you probably don't. Kev, what do you think about this?
You sell your stock at your highest available price, and this is absolutely when to do it. So no surprises here. Completely expected, especially at the running back position. You don't if he were to take another 20, 25 carries in the bowl game, crazy shit happens. So
yeah, I think everybody was for sure. I mean, maybe not for sure. Everyone that had an idea was pretty sure this was going to be the last year of Caleb Johnson. We weren't necessarily sure if it was going to be the last game of Caleb Johnson. I do believe he was asked in the post game the other day, "Are you going to play in the bowl game?" He said at that point, maybe I might.
He probably knew. It wasn't.
That's not the right time.
The right time to come out and say that.
Yeah, you don't want to drop that post game,
right?
Especially after an emotional post game. Obviously, we're gonna break this Nebraska game down. Although Kevin had it. It's
already broke it down, baby.
Guy already broke it down. Look at this.
What does Iowa do? How does Iowa win this game? Right? If Iowa beats Nebraska on Friday, how do they do it?
They don't beat themselves and let Nebraska beat themselves. It's how we've won this game, I feel like, the majority of the time the past decade.
Yeah.
We win turnovers, we win penalties, we win field position.
Well, how about that?
Pull up the stats. I do believe we won all three of those stats and won 0 of the other stats included in the game. Like, think of any other stat, we probably lost every other stat, but we won those 3, and we somehow won the game. So,
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. You look at these, you look at the box score, you look at the stats, and you're like, that one didn't go well for the Hawkeyes. But the end of the game, the scoreboard says 13-10. Iowa wins. I think this is one of the most, this game out of any game I've ever seen, although we've been a part of a couple, and the Iowa Hawkeyes have put together a couple masterpieces in this fashion the last couple years with the offense we've had. It doesn't make a lick of sense, even a little bit. First team, this stat was being thrown around after the game. First team in 23 years of college football to win a football game with 5 first downs or less. We had 5 first downs. Most teams probably get 5 first downs in a drive at some point on a Saturday of football. We had 5 the entire game.
Someone had to be first. Might as well be us.
23 years. I think it was like Arkansas versus UNLV or something. I'm not sure who it was.
Oh, who could forget?
No streaks last forever.
In the last 420 games where a team has gone for less than 200 yards of offense, the Iowa Hawkeyes are 6-7. The rest of those teams are 15 and 408.
So can we do the math? So under 200 yards, I was roughly 500. Everybody else has a what winning percentage there, Grant?
It's Iowa's 46%, and then everyone else is 4%.
It doesn't make any sense. But it helps when you're playing a team that has their own unique way of losing one-score ball games. Because if you look at the stats on the other side of the coin here, and it's very fun to look at if you're part of the black and gold. This Nebraska program, specifically as of late, basically since Kevin and I left, because I want to make a point, by the way, that when Kevin and I were around, we didn't fuck around. Okay, we beat these guys by a lot. All right.
Beat them by a lot our first year. Granted, we did not play, but I think we beat them by 17 in 2013. We lost in overtime in 2014. 15, we beat them by, I think we beat them by 8. I think it was 28-20.
Is that all we got them by in the end?
And then 16 was like 40-10, and
Smashed.
17 it was a lot.
Smashed.
Yeah.
We didn't mess around with one-score ball games back then. Since then, though, these guys, not just against the Iowa Hawkeyes, you look at Scott Frost and now Matt Rule after 2 full seasons as head coach, their record in one-score ball games is abysmal. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's in the macro of the 100+ years of college football, if the football gods have decided that it's just this point in time in the cycle that this specific team is spited and has to go through something like this. I think Nebraska fans are questioning all of those things as well. Nobody knows. But this team can't win a one-score ball game to save their life. And it's been fantastic to be on the other side of. Searles was a great episode last week. Thank you for everybody for tuning in. A ton of great feedback. There could potentially not be any better feedback on a consistent guest or sort of theme episode that we have on this show than the Searles Thanksgiving episode every year. He's great for content, especially in the end when he makes a bet that he says, "Hey, I'll throw on a Hawk shirt if you guys win. You guys put on Go Big Red if the Huskers win, and I'm going to need his address."
What shirt are we sending him? Is it going to be Kirk's Dogs? Do we send him?
No,
Goat Wallace.
I think
you have to do the Hawks by a million.
Yeah. Don't get cute with it. Run the ball.
I think he'd be a good dog. I think he'd be a good little dog.
Well, if we want to go that far, then then we start to get it a little disrespectful, which, by the way, not just in Iowa City, but God, boys, I don't know if you watched the entire day of college football. It's getting disrespectful out there. I've never seen a hate week like we had yesterday.
Oh yeah, it was the best. Like Baker Mayfield, when he planted the flag at Ohio State, was like 6 years ago now. I don't know if he realized the ripple he was going to cause for all the way into 2024 of just full on fist fights, guys getting maced in the face after games of just what he was going to cause.
Pitchforks from Arizona State,
Yeah,
those going in the midfield.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys think about it. I don't know if anyone tried to plant a flag in Kinnick Stadium while you guys were playing or not. But
not to my knowledge, no, never.
Like,
happened.
I feel like if you try to go plant a flag, you should expect someone to do something about it.
Yes.
Oh,
But then also, I don't think anyone should get maced on the field.
No.
As well. Like, I feel like it could be figured out.
I mean, it looked like they tried to figure that out for a while, and then there's 150 players on the field and like 20 cops, and it was they're just like, fucking, we just got to mace these people so they get away from us.
Start throwing tear gas. I mean,
yeah,
Jesus.
that was wild. Hey, did you see Alyssa was in the middle of all that?
I saw her story. I showed it to Lauren today. I was like, this is Alyssa. She's so we have a friend. She played volleyball. Alyssa. Oh God, what's her last name? What was her last name?
Sloter.
Well, it's Sloter now, but what was it?
Klosterman.
Oh yeah, Alyssa Klosterman came in same year as us, 2013, Iowa volleyball. She is now, since we left college, gotten into social media. She always, I think, wanted to be in broadcasting, somewhere in that realm. She has been with Fox Big Noon Kickoff for the last couple of years. She's the admin for their social accounts, I believe. And she's rolling, and she's in the middle of that because they're doing post-game interviews when all that breaks out. And so she's out on the field, like middle of the field. There's a still frame of her that she put up on her Instagram. She's just caught in the middle, and she just put up in the corner on the dog with the fire around it that says "It's fine." Like a meme.
Is she? What's her? Is there like footage of this, or is it?
If her, I don't know.
Yeah,
if her,
she put on her stories.
I don't know if her Instagram is public.
She got to be
search Alyssa Klosterman with a K. Blonde girl. I don't know if there's any other Alyssa Klostermans out there. Anyway, crazy. Ohio State, Michigan, not the only place that stuff's going down. I saw a fight. There was fights. Was it NC State and?
Yeah, there was like 4 or 5 of them.
I think Ole Miss and Mississippi State got chippy a little bit at some point. I saw a clip, not nearly as bad. This makes all the Arizona State. They're planting after planting Arizona into the ground. They're planting their devil pitchfork into midfield. Where else did it get? There was other places. It was all over the place.
Yeah, there was like 4 or 5 fights that happened. It was one after another.
My mom is like a total boomer, put on her story the Michigan Ohio State fight and was like, what has happened? No more respect from the kids, like from people these days. I was like, Mom, you got to chill.
She's not entirely wrong.
No, I get it. That's what I'm saying. I'm bringing it up because I don't think this week happens every year. Everybody plays their rival. I've never seen so much animosity and like altercation, I don't think, but maybe I just haven't paid attention. This makes the whole Iowa situation, which we'll get into here, completely seem benign and like maybe we avoided something, although I'd like to say and think that a Kirk Ferentz-led team doesn't do anything like that. I don't think Nebraska would maybe even do something like that, although questionable.
It might be changing going forward.
I think I'll say this. I think for the first time, Matt Rule did something where I'm like, I don't like that. I don't like that guy. And that is, well, I don't know how much of a hand he had in the not shaking hands part. But Kev, I know that this is burning at you. You made a tweet that caught a little fire, and you are a man of principle, and what would we call it? We'll just call it ritual, right? Like you respect the process.
Respect the game, man.
And these guys, I'll bring it up right here. Yeah, here Grant has it. They step to the middle. And these Nebraska guys, they're statues. The one guy that kills me is the guy that puts his head down. If you're going to stand on business, stand on business. Don't look down. Look them in the eyes if you're not going to shake their hands. What a little. As a former captain, Kev, what is that?
I mean, so I went out there, I guess it would have been played in 13 games and 2 overtimes, so 15 times to shake hands. And never even once considered not shaking the other team's hand. Iowa State, Nebraska, it doesn't matter. And it's usually a pretty cordial event. It's like, you dap them up. Hey, man, good luck, good luck, good luck.
Part of the ritual.
Yeah, I mean, it's fucking sportsmanship, dude. Like, you're too good to shake my hand? Fuck you. It's not edgy, it's not tough, it's not cool. It's just like, have some respect for yourself, from your opponent, and for the game, dude.
It's interesting. It's very interesting.
It's Bush League, it's poor class, and it's a bad look on their team and the university, in my opinion.
This supposedly stems from.
I doubt. I will say I don't know, but I would doubt that came from the head coach to say like, hey, don't shake their hands at the 50-yard line. I don't see that as a likelihood, but
I don't. If I had to put money down on it, I would guess that Rule was unaware that was going to happen at all.
I probably agree with you.
And it certainly didn't come directly from him. And I just have a hard time believing that if it would have gotten back to him, hey, captains so-and-so, they're not going to shake hands when they go out there, he would have shut that down. If he heard about it, and we'll never know, but if he did hear about it, or if he knew about it and he didn't shut it down, then fuck him to the moon. It's like Rule sucks at that point. But supposedly this stemmed from before the game, where Nebraska's pregame ritual is to go to the center of the field and pray at some point during their pregame. Now, Iowa, and this is where it gets interesting, because the retaliation is player to player. It's like, okay, the captains are disrespecting the other captains by not shaking their hands.
I guarantee you the captains had
no
influence whatsoever on the decision for the police officers to be out there on the 50-yard line.
Right. So anyone who's unaware at this point, there's 6 police officers standing at midfield, clearly informed and told to go guard that or stand there and shut down the pregame ritual. Not shut it down, but keep it from happening on the Tiger Hawk, right at the 50. This is confusing to some people. I actually had to have a conversation back and forth with a couple of people online. Like, I never got it. Why is the logo thing such a big deal? And I was like, I don't know, man. I honestly don't know how to explain it to you. If you don't get it, you don't get it. But you don't let the opponent. I likened it to this. Is them praying in midfield super aggressive? No. Is it overtly disrespectful? No, not really. But it is something, because they could pray wherever they wanted to. And they actually have an entire 50-some yards, 60 yards of their own warm-up. They could pray in the middle of their area. They could pray in the lot. They could do it wherever. They've chosen to do it on opposing teams' logos at the 50. And it's already gotten them in a little bit of a scuffle earlier this year. I think it was against
It was USC.
USC.
It was like last week.
Yeah,
2 weeks ago.
USC. A couple USC players got caught up in the middle, not liking it so much. I told a guy on Twitter, it's like, that logo represents your team. It represents your state. It represents it's a symbol of all the people that are coming into that game to watch the game. You as the players are almost like the protector of this logo, the protector of the brand. And you're not going to let the enemy come dance in the town square before you go to battle against them. Right? That's the best way I can put it. And if you don't get it, then maybe you just don't have that competitive or former ball experience, because
I mean, if you want to look at it that way, you think of it like a flag, right? It's like, oh, it's just a piece of cloth, but like, no, like there's a lot of people out there who see their flag like on the ground getting walked on or getting burned, like their country's flag, like get highly offended. Similar thing. But no, I guarantee you the university just did this as a preventative measure, given what happened last week. And I think it's happened a few other times in the last couple of years too. I think it happened in Colorado last year. Like there was some scuffle that people didn't like. And just like, hey, we don't need any of that. Let's just nip this in the bud and prevent it from even happening. And I guarantee you, God does not care one iota if you pray for him on the 30-yard line in the end zone. He does not. He doesn't care if it's at the 50 or not.
No. And again, back to the original point, it wasn't Jay and Luke Lachey and those 4 players who on Thursday this week said, "Hey, let's get some security on the 50 this week." No, it was somebody. This was from a staff somewhere. It's not from the players. So to retaliate is like hey, we're not shaking your hands. They were probably a little bit confused. Jay and them were probably confused. It's like, we didn't do anything.
I 100% blindsided, I'm sure. And also, like, pregame, I know we were always coaches. You have from the 45 through your end zone.
Yeah.
The specialists get to go on the other side, kick with both directions of the wind a little bit. But you got from the 45 and there's a 10-yard buffer zone. That's just so people don't bump into each other and cause pregame scuffles, because that's not good for anybody. It's not good for the sport. It's not good for the universities. It's a bad look.
And so what do you think about this part? Because this was also a part to it, Kev. This is Matt Rule. Our guys are warming up. Our side of this field. And I get it. He takes laps, right? He does a little walk, and I'm all for.
I mean, I don't know. That was kind of a nothing burger in my opinion.
I think if you're gonna take the laps, like,
could he have gone around the outside of the drill?
Could you go on the outside maybe? Because you kind of know what you're doing, right? Like, it's not like he doesn't know what he's doing. So,
I mean, that's not something to get super upset about, in my opinion. But
it adds to it.
It's something. It's like a tiny little jab.
And so this is Jay Higgins after the game. I love listening to Jay talk. I'm sure you do too, Kev. He is going to be very, very missed as a Hawkeye. I am sad he is not going to play in Kinnick anymore. But this is what he had to say.
They didn't reach out their hands, so that was a little weird. And then our guys are warming up, doing our pregame, and their head coach walked through the warm up, so we immediately knew what type of game this was. So after the game, because they didn't want to shake our hands before the game, I went up to their head coach and shook his hand, told him good game. Any questions?
How much nicer was it to beat him then?
The moment he didn't shake our hands, I knew we won. So I was extremely calm. I thought Drew was going to kick a 50-yarder to win. That's what I was telling myself at halftime. But, I mean, how good did they feel at halftime? Didn't shake our hands, up 10. I mean, they were probably in that locker room going crazy. But it felt great to beat them. I mean, trophy game, everything was on the line. I told him how.
This is amazing, dude. Nick Jackson steps in. He enters the interview room. He just gets there, and because Jay hasn't talked like this all year. He hasn't talked like this his whole career. This is the part I love to see, Kevin, because when guys get to the end.
Oh, yeah. He just played his last regular season game. He's got one more to go.
Cut it loose, baby.
What are you going to do to me?
He never has to play Nebraska again. He doesn't have to come back and potentially face the consequences of a Nebraska loss next year. He's letting it loose. He's put in his time. He can now open his mouth and he's letting it fly. And now Nick Jackson steps up. Same situation. Between these two, there's not a linebacker duo in the country that has more career tackles than these two. These guys have laid their bodies on the line, and now they're standing up there talking their shit. And they're not even talking shit. They're just giving a rundown of the situation that happened, but they are enjoying it. They are loving this. Nick Jackson steps in and we get some more.
I told him how they didn't shake our hands at the beginning of the game, and then I went up to him after the game and shook his hand.
Yeah.
But you want to know, you want a little more tea?
What's more tea?
So the first series, we were on their sideline.
He says he wants some more tea. Dude, he's just basking in it. It's amazing. And Kev, you know the feeling too. They just want, you're riding so high.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
After a walk-off winner. Yeah, there's
the
no drug on earth that can simulate that feeling.
Oh, the theatrics are just amazing right now. So Jay goes into more here about early in the game.
And, I got a little close to their head coach, and I said, probably wasn't a good idea to not shake our hands. And he goes, who are you? How many tackles I have?
Enough. More than him.
That's fun. Well, at least I don't got to play them guys.
Did he also walk through our...
Yeah, I told him about how he walked through. Yeah,
that was pretty cool. Yep. That was pretty cool.
I told him about that.
Yeah.
But he
walked out pretty cool too, right?
Would KF ever do something like Kirk Ferentz?
No.
Will he ever do something like that?
No.
That is just... that's amazing, guys.
Wow. Yeah, come to Iowa.
Come to Iowa. Come be a Hawk.
Be a Hawk. You see the difference.
Oh, God. Feed it to me, Kevin. Oh, baby. I could listen to those two talk shit all day long. I have the biggest smile on my face if you're not watching the YouTube version. If you are, hey, hit the button below. Smash your face into the like button. Tell us your favorite part about this Nebraska rivalry this past weekend. You may have a different opinion, Kev. I tweeted this. It never felt like a true rivalry in the sense of it. This game never felt to me when we played during our time like Iowa State did, like Minnesota did, like Wisconsin did. It feels now, from the outside at least, that this rivalry, 14 years into the Nebraska being in the Big Ten, has reached its maturity, and there is some legitimate rivalry hate between the two squads.
Sure. Yeah, I obviously never liked Nebraska, but I never thought like the rivalry was on par with that of Iowa State's.
It felt manufactured.
Yeah, like it kind of felt like a forced rivalry at first, especially early in our career. Like, just started playing them a couple years prior. No, it's and maybe that was their plan. Maybe that was their plan. Like, hey, we want to take this game up a notch, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like Keith Duncan had a nice big part in furthering wherever it was at the time with a blown kiss to the sideline.
Yeah, I'm sure the fans and I guess that staff's not there anymore, but the memories of that definitely didn't help relations among the programs.
Did you see Drew Stevens, his press conference afterwards?
I did see that.
Straight up called Raiola Mahomes Jr. Oh my God, dude. I would have been crucified if I would have said something like that as a long snapper. But when you big dick a kick, what a story, by the way. Guy didn't get the ball. They took the ball out of his hands, figuratively, off his foot last year. Put in Marshall Meter to kick the game winner because he was struggling. It's in your head all year. Not only that, but early in the season, actually, all he's missed this year are 50-plus yarders until last week when he hit two big ones, finally got it off the monkey off his back. And, oh, by the way, next week, last week of the season, Black Friday game, we're going to need a big one. And he steps up and drills it. Barely. Slipped inside there.
Barely, boys. Barely.
But a make is a make. Wow.
Yeah, that so yeah, I'm gonna imagine that KF didn't love that comment, but
No. No, because Drew is coming back next year.
yeah, Drew is coming back next year. Drew will be around, and
Oh,
you know,
man.
we always got
if
our
Doyle
media,
was still around. Oh,
yeah,
boy.
we always got our media training early in the year. It's like always like they always told us, be respectful, be complimentary of your teammates, try to give them the praise and take it off yourself. And, you know, no bulletin board material.
There's plenty now.
Yeah.
The next year, this is going to be heated. And it's unfortunate because now this game isn't necessarily going to be this week. This could be the Big Ten opener next year. I don't know what the schedule is. I don't think it's been set yet.
They've not set dates for the games yet.
We play Nebraska every year. It's a protected game in the new setup, but the schedule or the order of games not set. So this could be to open the season in like early October or late September.
I think it's just going to get moved to Saturday is all it is.
You think they'll be like, all right, we'll keep it here, but it's just not going to be Black Friday anymore.
We're not going to do a prime time slot where there's
like
after this year, it might deserve
football game in the country.
No. We can see the NFL is like shoving college football into a locker now on Black Friday. Like they're only gonna add more games there. So I think they're just slowly moving it all to Saturday. As unfortunate as it is.
Oh, I just remembered another one from Hate Week this week. Texas. You know, they were doing the whole stomp the logo, like scrape their feet on them at the middle of the Aggies field after beating them this weekend.
That's a good game to have back in college football.
I'm so glad that's back.
Good game.
Yeah.
Good game. Grant, why don't you pull up those awards winners? Let's go over those quickly.
Wait, are we done talking about the game now? Or?
No. We're just gonna take.
Okay, because I have. All right.
Oh,
I was like, I have a lot of things I want.
Oh no, we're gonna get back to the game.
Right.
I just.
Grant's
I
like,
know
I wrote. I did. I wrote down things that I would.
Okay.
I had, but we can do awards winners.
Don't worry, we've got a half hour left. We can talk about it. I just don't want to skip over the awards winners. I know our boy Kevin had a great weekend, phenomenal weekend, 4-0, I believe.
That is correct.
Let's start there, Kev.
Sure. Updated records as well.
Updated records. So yes, thank you, Grant. Had Iowa, Nebraska under 39.5 to start the weekend.
Easy.
Easy.
Unofficial spread line of 12 punts, by the way, that we set with Searles. Over.
I think it was 16, 17, something like that.
I was like, yeah, definitely over.
And then my next three picks, young Grantley here decided that he didn't like them and went against all three of them. But I had Arizona State minus 8.5. They won by 40. Notre Dame minus 7.5. That was a pretty close one. A couple pick sixes late sealed that one. And then South Carolina plus 2.5 in a really good game versus Clemson. They do come away and get the win in that game.
30-20. Forget the one push there. 30-20. That's a record now. 60%. Woo!
Solid.
I moved to 28-25. I had an okay day. A couple very near misses in Army -7. They win by 5. Thought they had more. Was expecting more after they had gotten blown out from Notre Dame. Auburn is. I mean, we are just a little bit of effort, a little bit more effort on a receiver, and we backdoor cover this thing at the buzzer.
That would have been disgusting backdoor cover.
It would have been disgusting, but I was watching at my grandma's house. We had just eaten Thanksgiving dinner, and I was like, and my dad had the bet too, so the house was loud. So Army and Auburn do not cover. However, Minnesota +2. God, this was like the most obvious one going into the weekend for me.
Wisconsin's just like,
holy smokes, the Badgers have some
like
questions.
every now and then they just don't want to play. It seems
the Badgers have some questions to answer this offseason. Hey, when you get a new coach and he's a
this is the end of year too, man. Like you should have your your culture kind of in place, and like, but I don't know. They need an attitude adjustment up.
I mean, you look at two programs who have tried to shift coaches around and try and re-jump their program to be elite, right? You got Wisconsin, who's trying to. They were right there. They're winning the West every year.
Yeah,
like,
Paul
we
Chris
need
has
to get
1
on
7-5 year, and
we need to get on the level of Ohio State, Penn State. We need to compete with them year in, year out. They hire Luke Fickell, home run hire from Cincinnati. He's going to change the program 2 years in.
They've completely lost their identity.
They have no identity, and I think they feel worse now than they do after the year with Paul Chryst, the last year with Paul Chryst.
Oh yeah, because I mean, what they go 6-6 last year too.
They did make a bowl game, but yeah, it sounds right. 6-6 or 7, no better than 7-5. So they're just right in the middle of mediocrity right now.
And
Nebraska, same thing. They tried it with Frost, didn't work. Now they got Matt Rule. They thought he was the savior. I do think he's a better coach than Frost, but 6-6. I mean, you've gone 5 and 6 wins, and I'll be honest, Raiola, we'll get to it again. Raiola's worth 2 or 3 of those wins by himself. That kid is good. If they didn't have him, I wonder how many games they would have won. Him and their 2 D linemen that are studs. If they don't have those
guys are good.
If those guys are really good. If they don't have those 3 players, Nebraska might be a 2-10 ball club this year. I'm dead ass. Anyway, there's a little sample size on an experiment of people who are like, yeah, it's just KF's past his time. We just got to move on. Like, you don't want to force those things. Don't force those things. I'm telling you. It is not easy to win football games. Ohio State was favored by 1 million points. Lost to Michigan. Ryan Day can't beat the Wolverines to save his dick. Okay?
I will say this, though. I think an average coaching staff can take Ohio State 10-2 every year.
You and I could probably take them 10-2.
With the amount of talent, financial resources, and other university resources and fan base that you have at your disposal, plus being the only major program in a very football-friendly state with a lot of population, an average coaching staff should be able to take Ohio State 10-2 every year.
Grant, we're going to hire you as special teams coordinator.
I will do it. I will also go steal signs if anyone needs it.
Hell
I've
yeah.
offered that up many times. No one's taken up yet. I'm waiting for it.
Okay. Well,
signing
keep
the
that in
signal
mind.
for next year. Yeah.
Anyway, I had Minnesota +2. They actually had a great year after Iowa beat their ass.
Yeah.
After that game,
except for a freaking Rutgers game that I bet on them.
Yeah.
And
The
hell was that?
The 1 week you put money on them, they decided nah. And then I was
good, Kev.
I was on that Iowa Nebraska under 39.5. I mean, that was, looking back, that seemed like maybe the biggest lock. I mean, Kev, you were there. It was cold as shit.
So I didn't actually make it to the game.
Oh, you didn't go.
Didn't make it to the game. Walked out the dog at 6 a.m. that morning, so the dog could, do its business, and felt the air. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and put a few extra units on that under bet because it's freaking cold out,
dude. This was one of those games where I'm happy that I don't play anymore because I was soft. I was soft when we played, and I had to really mentally lock in to get through a cold game like that. And at 30 years old now, I'm softer than baby shit. And I want no piece of long snapping in that weather. Horrible. Looks horrible. I'll cheer for the boys. My time's over. It's come and gone. So yeah, that's Gary, do you want to give us a recap? You were getting dashed up a little bit on social media.
I will give a recap, all right? Because I come here every week. I don't care what my record is. I'm going to face it.
Sure.
All right. Because, even after a bad week like this, we were 2-10. Everything that could go wrong went wrong for us this weekend. It was a total disaster from start to finish. Nothing went right. We're still above 500. We have a system.
You're right.
And I said to Souls, we stick to the system and it's going to work out. 2-10 weekend and we're still above 500. But I have never in my entire gambling career seen a weekend where so many disasters happen. Like, you get bad beats. It happens every once in a while. I have never, just every single slate, every game, just been punched in the chest, in the stomach, over and over and over again. This kid, Cade Klubnik, is leading the Clemson Tigers downfield. It's to just kick a field goal. All he has to do is run the ball, and he just throws the worst pass in the history of football. There were people praising him about getting him back in the Heisman conversation 3 quarters ago, and he throws the worst pass I've ever seen. I cannot stand he did this last year to me when they played Florida State. He threw the dumbest pass I've ever seen in my life. I cannot believe it. In the same end zone too. It happened again. It was like deja vu. I hated it. Credit to Lenore Sellers, though. Great player.
How
Out of
about
South Carolina? He's doing a great job out there.
How about Notre Dame USC?
Notre Dame USC was one of the worst tragedies. It was like a Shakespearean Greek tragedy out there. It was disgusting. These guys, they were playing great football. All right. You know what? Notre Dame was probably the better team, but 7.5 is a ton of points. You have a whole touchdown and the hook to cover this thing. Lincoln Riley sends those guys down there. They've got a chance to tie up the game. And then we're cruising. All right. I'm not worried at all. Like, nothing can happen in overtime that's going to hurt me. And they throw a 99-yard pick 6. And I'm like, wow, that stinks. They get the ball back with all the time in the world to just cover this thing. Great drive they're putting together. It's like vintage Lincoln Riley out there. And the guy throws another 100-yard pick 6. And I'm
like, even after that first pick 6, like, and next
all you have to do is make a tackle.
A good spot to cover that game.
All you have to do is make a tackle on either pick 6. And Notre Dame was probably just going to run the clock out. But instead, he throws an even worse pass. Like, we were a play away from tying the game. We're cruising. And then he has that disaster. Kansas got blown out. It doesn't even matter. USC was bad. Texas A&M has the ball on the 3-yard line for 4 plays in a row and can't score to cover plus 5.5. I was furious. They better not ever do that sing-along again, by the way, at Texas A&M before. It's not related to this bet, but I was furious about that. Arizona didn't even show up. That was like 100-0, and you're going to be like, Grant, it can't be that bad. I actually think like it was over in 10 seconds. It was literally an annihilation.
21-0 first quarter.
It was bad. It might have been 35-0. I'm going to be honest. It was a total disaster. Nothing went well this weekend, but we're still above 500 by the grace of God.
You tweeted an incredible little clip of which you could include in the hate week stuff of I think it was a Notre Dame guy or USC guy punching.
No. It was noticeably a Notre Dame guy. It was noticeably a member of the Irish.
Square in the forehead.
Turn it into an MMA match. Could
you say that you're the guy, your betting weekend, you were the guy getting punched, and that fist was all of the weird, wonky things that happened in these games this weekend?
Well, I mean, geez.
You just got right to the forehead.
I mean, that guy was at least wearing a helmet. Like, he probably got hit worse in the game.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I mean, how long? Like, I think that was a big Tony Dungy thing or whatever. Was like, or I think Jim Harbaugh does it too, where it's like, if you're gonna get in a fight on the football field, don't punch a dude who's wearing a helmet.
Yeah, you lose.
Like, what?
Both people lose.
You could be Mike Tyson and punching that dude in the helmet, and it's not going to do anything. It's going to hurt you more. But yeah, I don't know. Just a total disaster. I mean, none of these. We had moments where we looked great. Shout out to UTSA for covering. And that was the only thing that actually had. Like, we cruised on the under of Clemson. But even if Cade Klubnik actually did what he was supposed to do and tied the game, we probably would have lost that under anyway. Like, it was getting dangerously close over there too. So there was just no winning this week. It was a total disaster. But we'll be back with a vengeance for bowl season. We'll be back with a vengeance for conference championship weekend.
Huge weekend.
And we're still above 500.
Yep.
We're still above. We're still doing fine. We're at 52%. Doing okay. I'm sorry I had to let that out. I know this.
No, that was good. It was therapeutic. I'm glad we got it off our chest. I think everybody listening probably enjoyed that. And I love it. Let's discuss the rest of this game. We kind of got through some of the rivalry stuff. There's going to be a lot to talk about moving forward with this team, with this program, with this rivalry heading into next year. It's set up a lot, but there are some specifics. Cade didn't walk.
Yeah. What was the explanation for that?
So KF basically said, he in his coach speak way, he's like, opt out's a big term right now. Everybody's opting out of everything. He chose, he chose not to participate in it. And he basically said, this guy's had a horrible 3 years of injury, and I hope everybody, He's had a crummy 3 years injury-wise, and I hope everybody is empathetic towards that. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I don't think in our position you skip it, especially with everything that has gone on the last couple weeks. I don't know what the situation is like with Cade and the university, Cade and the team, Cade and his teammates, Cade and the coaches. I'll say this. You don't get a weird have to come out and make a statement that you're still on the team last week and a weird I'm not walking on senior day moment if things are good. If things are going the way they should be. I do think that after everything that happened with Cade and the rumors that he quit the team or that he wasn't doing things or whatever, and he's probably saw these kids see social media. He saw a lot of people immediately just turn on him. I think there was a chance that he didn't walk because, in fear of being booed. There was talks about that on several Iowa shows this past week of like, what's the response going to be to Cade on senior day when he walks out? That would be the shittiest thing to do to a kid, by the way. Pretty much, unless he murdered someone in your family personally, like to boo him on his senior run out. I don't know if that would have happened. I don't think so. I think it would have been fine. And I don't know if that's the reason he didn't walk, but he chose not to. And it's a item of note. That's weird. And I wish that he had a good experience. I wish everything was fine and he did walk. But his time in Iowa City and as a Hawkeye is going to be viewed as a very interesting one, sort of a weird one. One that had an injury in the middle of it. He was obviously the biggest first NIL get of Iowa's time and experience with NIL, and he didn't pan out. I think at this point it's pretty fair to say like he did not turn into what we hoped he did when that announcement came out 2 winters ago. And Cade McNamara is coming to the Hawkeyes. Like, we were very excited about that. And in the end, there wasn't much to be excited about. And that's unfortunate, not just for him, but it's unfortunate for everybody. Kev?
Nah, you said law. Just unfortunate tale of unfortunate events. That's a book series, right?
Series of unfortunate events. Yeah.
Series of unfortunate events.
Netflix series as well.
Lemony Snicket.
Lemony Snicket. Yep. There we go. This should yeah, it's definitely a weird situation. Don't know in the ins and outs of it, so I don't really want to speculate. But yeah, we'll leave it there.
I want to go back to what Grant said. Somebody had the ball on the. I don't remember which game it was, Grant, but they had the ball on the 3-yard line, 4 plays to get in. The Hawks were in the Hawks were in a similar position. In fact, we were waiting and just ready to pounce on any Nebraska mistake, and that mistake happened on special teams, nonetheless. And Kev, I'm a little confused actually on how we even got to the result of this play, because as I see it, and as I know the punt down rules, if the kicking team touches the ball at any point, it is down at that spot immediately once touched. It does not have to be controlled. It is just once that kicking team touches the ball. On the punt that we ended up, getting the muff punt on the 2 or 3 yard line there, our guy touches it first. Oh, he does.
Disagree.
Probably. So it missed the returner. It missed the guy next to the returner, but it seemed like everyone thought it hit either one of those 2 guys. And then Nestor and one of the Nebraska guys go to try to recover it. And
at the same time, and in my eyes,
my eyes looked like it very well could have been that the Nebraska player touched it first. But
in my eyes, I thought I saw clear.
They called it on the field that it was Iowa's ball, so they couldn't overturn it.
Okay, so that's maybe the answer there. I think if you go back and look at that, or you run that 10 times, that gets overturned, because I believe Grant, maybe you could try and find the replay of that muff punt the slow-mo. I don't know if you could find the actual broadcast shot of it. Probably can't. I was pretty sure, regardless the result, we get the ball on the 2 or 3 yard line. It feels very similar to the Iowa State game earlier this year where we get a 1st and goal on the 3 and we couldn't get it in there.
Yeah, backing up just a quick sec. You can still kind of blame Nebraska. Just catch the punt and you don't have to worry about any of that shit. So that is, regardless of how the call is, like, Nebraska owns some bit of that.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy just like fell down, like,
yeah,
kind of weird. We get the ball on the 4, we get a 2-yard run, and then we go backwards 2 yards, and then what do we do for a 3rd down play?
I think we just tried to run it again and we got stuffed. I don't remember.
We'll pull up the play-by-play here.
Grant's gonna play this on the YouTube version. If you're listening, maybe hop over to the YouTube version.
We threw a pass and it was just going nowhere. And
guy,
I'm gonna show you.
Yeah, we're not gonna be able to see it here. It was close nonetheless. Tough that we couldn't get that one in, especially in a game where, let's be frank here, guys, our offense kind of reverted back to what we have been the last 2 years.
We had absolutely no control of the line of scrimmage. Couldn't get a running game going. No passing game either. So really just nothing going whatsoever. And the fact that, you're down 10 points and you're given a gift and you can't fully capitalize it. It's like, okay, we have to score a touchdown at some point because I don't think we're going to sustain 3 more field goal drives.
Right.
It kind of felt like, oh, well, that was our shot. And, bullshit,
Yeah. It was pretty, and I don't know if you can blame this on the cold. I think there's probably a multitude of factors. I think one of them is the fact, and Searle said this in the preview, he really liked how their defense matched up against our offense and that side of the ball. He thought that was a big advantage to them. He was absolutely right.
Oh, yeah, their D linemen
they dominated us.
They got themselves some pretty much higher draft grades after this game. Plus, Dunker being out doesn't help either.
Doesn't help. Stratton being our quarterback for 3 weeks doesn't help.
They had again, it's like we've seen this ever since the UCLA game. Mostly is like they don't respect our passing game. Nope. So it's like daring us to beat them with the passing game. And Caleb Johnson's good, but stacked boxes where everyone's gapped out and there's more hats than you can block. There's not much you can do, really.
There's nobody good enough on earth to beat.
I mean, you're asking guys to break tackles every single play. It's a bad
multiple tackles just to get to the second level. Yeah. You can't win 9 on 7. It's 9 on 7. It's 8 on 6. It's 8 on 5. Like, we are getting crashed on, and Caleb Johnson can't do anything. Jesus Christ himself wouldn't have been able to get out of the A gap there. So, what do you think Jesus maybe could?
I know, but he did have one play where he had glimpse of Jesus.
He was religiously special on one play, and this is what great players do. Like you said, Kev, we had to score a touchdown somehow. And without Caleb Johnson, we lose this ball game, even with all the mistakes and things and gifts that Nebraska gave us.
Most great players, that play, it's a 5, 6, 7 yard play.
Yeah.
Like Christian McCaffrey gets tackled for an 8-yard gain there.
I think Christian is one of those guys who could make this happen every once in a while.
No, I don't think so, man.
Really?
I don't think Christian McCaffrey pops out of this one.
Okay. Well, it's
now,
funny.
Granted, I also think that if that secondary Nebraska defender doesn't come in and try to help
and tackle his own guy,
he probably gets pushed out 5-10 yards down the field.
Yeah.
Go ahead and run that back again, Grant.
So, right?
It's like 5. He's on him here. And then he's
I mean, this is one of those plays.
This takes incredible balance and a low center of gravity, that
strength, speed. Yeah. Watch the burst, right?
And then
here, he oh God.
He's just so smooth when he runs too.
He's a special player. You
And
don't
like that. It's a tie ball game. First play of the fourth quarter.
And I'm telling you this, Nebraska at this is one of those things where I saw it all over the place. This is a culture win. I saw that KB on the sideline when they went into the fourth, he sat the D line down on the bench and said, "This is going to be a culture win." And what that means is that when a play like that happens and KJ houses it and it is suddenly a tie ball game, Nebraska has dominated the entire fucking game. They should have no reason to be scared, even though it's essentially 0-0 on the scoreboard. What that means is with 14 minutes and 40 seconds left in the fourth, a culture win is Iowa knows how to win games. They know how to play in close ball games. They know how to play the full 60 minutes. They know how to not make the mistakes, the penalties, the turnovers, the field position errors late in a game that matter. And when it's 10-10, just like when Amani Hooker housed that pick six against Ohio State to start the game in our senior year, the opponents pucker just a little bit. And they go, uh-oh, it's nighttime in Kinnick. We're in a ball game, and that's not good for us. And props to the defense, man, because they did it again. Llellan, your guy, Grant. I'm telling you, man, this guy.
It was a brilliant, great weekend to be a Mad Max Llewellyn investor, as I am. We were in on it early. Very, very early. I want to see even the first,
some call options on there.
I think it was maybe maybe against Troy or something. He hit that spin move, and I saw it. And even I tried to discuss it more on here, and it was like, oh yeah, I don't know, we'll see. But I stuck my feet in the ground. I said, this is my guy, and our investors reap the rewards of it this weekend. Maximus Decimus Llewellyn.
And he came up with one of the bigger play. I mean, a play that he'll remember for the rest of his life. You can go back, count all the big plays that are memorable in a Hawkeyes fan. You talk about that Caleb Johnson, screen pass, 70-yard, make magic happen. That is going to be a play that sticks in Hawkeye fans' minds when you think of all-time great players making all-time great plays. Llewellyn's going to remember that one for a very long time, and that's
game winner.
Literally, same thing happened last year. It's 10-10. The defense comes up with a turnover. The Hawks kick a field goal. Hawks win. Well, if you're a Nebraska fan, it has got to hurt to your bone marrow.
Back it up one possession. We get a stop. They punt it. We're at our own 10-yard line. So, 3.5 minutes left, and we're on our own 9-yard line.
I know where you're going.
Yeah. Nebraska made the right plays. Do I go for it? Or do I punt them, pin them deep? Offense hasn't done anything all day long. Punt it, pin them deep. We'll get another shot, hopefully around the 50-yard line. We only need 15, 20 yards, and we can kick the game winner ourselves.
Yep.
We get a crucial first down to at least get us out of the shadow of our own end zone. And then a 54-yard punt in the freezing cold.
We needed it.
Which, those two things don't happen. We don't get the ball in field goal range.
No, we get it at the 50, and we have to run a couple. It just doesn't work out the same. And Kev, I'm glad you mentioned it. Dakin had a rough night, which, by the way, so did Buschini. He shanked a couple. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, you guys don't understand what kicking a football turns into when it is 20 degrees outside. Congratulations, you're now kicking a rock. It is impossible. And I'm not talking 2 or 4 yards difference. I'm talking it's a 10-yard difference trying to hit that thing on a max distance kind of kick. And it showed.
You take that. So it's a 54-yard punt, no return. Take 15 yards off that. 40 yards is an average punt given the weather conditions probably.
Yep.
Plus the 15 yards we were able to gain out of that end zone. Drew Stevens has a leg. He doesn't have an extra 30 yards on it.
No, sir. For reference, Dakin averaged, I think, 41 on the night, and that's with a 54-yard punt, the last one. So do the math there. It's very hard to kick when it gets cold. That's why most of the time a Ray guy or a what's the punt? The Groza winner comes from a state that has great weather throughout the entire season, or they're indoors. Huge. We needed it. And baby Mahomes gets a little bit loose with the ball. Llewellyn recovers that thing. And Drew Stevens, welcome to your moment. God, it was beautiful. Grant, I'm sure you have a few other bullet points that we haven't hit on. You can bring those up now if you'd like, but
Oh, yeah.
what a
great
game.
By the way, on the broadcast of that kick, they just missed the ball going through the upright.
Oh,
Like they just didn't get it. It was very stressful for a moment there. Like you could see the crowd reaction went through. But like if you go back and watch it, like they just completely missed the ball going through the upright.
Oh,
They didn't get
on
like
TV you're talking about?
on TV. Yes,
I remember seeing the ball go through the uprights.
What angle did you see?
The end zone view.
I will pull it up. They missed it. It was crazy.
Because I remember I was like, is it gonna make it? Is it gonna make it? Gonna make it?
you know what felt really good is when they let him get the first practice one off.
Yeah, so I actually did want to ask you about that because I kind of agreed with Searles in the group chat. That was an awfully late snap.
It was quite late. And here's the deal.
Like I've seen that being called for a delay of game before.
So, yes, I've seen the ref run in when the whistle starts to get blown and step in front of either the snapper snapping it to the holder or the holder as he gets it stepping in front of the holder so the kicker can't kick it.
Mm-hmm.
And they started doing this because specialists are finding every way to be a little weasel. And like I've said a million times on here, the longer the specialist stands out there and has more time, the more comfortable he can get, especially if you give the guy a literal practice chip shot that doesn't count to get his line, test the wind, and feel it out for a second. So if you can steal one of those when they go to ice you as a snapper, holder, kicker, you never see those guys just relax and step off. They are looking for a practice kick. And when I was snapping, and I think I had this twice where they iced us, I always tried to snap it immediately once I heard the whistle.
Sure, yeah.
And sometimes you can't do that because the holder's head isn't around yet, and you don't want to get into that situation. But we did it several times. They will call a delay of game if you do it too late. And boy, was it pretty late. But the refs decided to not call a delay of game. Stevens
Yeah, I don't know. Matt Rule was pretty upset with he was giving the refs some ear about that. And I think he honestly might have had a case.
I think he had a case. If anybody saw Rule in the ear after that first iced kick, that is what he was pissed about. Too bad. So sad. They let him do it.
I think Drew Stevens nails it regardless.
I agree. I mean, he hit the first one. I mean, better than he hit the second one. Yeah, it was. I love it. It's like if you're a kicker now for Iowa, you automatically get a walk-off against Nebraska if you become a starter. Like you just get that as part of your career. It's like a token. You're like, hey, you get some cool clothes. You get to work out in the weight room. If you're the kicker, you'll get a walk-off opportunity against Nebraska, and the shakes are at the refueling station. Like it just comes with the gig. 53-yard field goal. He's going to play it here because he claims we didn't get the shot. I'm guessing if Grant is sharing the screen that this is. I think I understand what you're talking about. They flip back to it pretty quick though, don't they, Grant?
Well, look, did it go in?
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying.
It was just a bad.
You didn't.
Yeah.
You see it.
I should have zoomed out a little bit more.
You see it come through.
Yeah.
Like that's what I meant.
You see it come through, but you don't know if it got there.
Well, I'm guessing my mind played a trick on me. I already knew he had the distance. The distance was never a question. So once I saw it on track and hits the net.
Yeah, if you don't know Drew Stevens has a cannon leg, you may be sitting here questioning if it got there. But
that is about.
So you knew. Yeah, my brain played a trick on me because I knew it leaked in there, and then it hits the net. So it hit the net. It obviously had the distance.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
I
we're
suppose.
we're on the same page though.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Somebody
okay,
could have
not
got
not
crazy.
great camera work. I'll give you that.
No, not great. Yeah. Any other bullet points, Grant, that you wanted to bring up?
Yes. Other things. Surely Searles didn't go on here and say that there wasn't a direct quote where he said, "I don't see a way we don't score 17 points." Surely he didn't come on here and say that.
We're gonna
You
have
said
to check.
it was a race to 17 points.
I thought he said, "I
I'm
don't
with
think
Grant
there's a way
here.
we don't." I see.
Yeah,
a
I'm
scoring at least
with
17.
Grant here. I think he did say the words. I don't see a way we don't get 17 points. We're gonna have to clip that. We'll pull that.
I
one.
might have to go back and pull it up.
Yeah, he was pretty high in Dana Holgerson's play calling, and
Which I think Dana's a good hire. It's going to be interesting.
he'll be good for them, no doubt. But
Yeah.
he's 2 weeks into the job, so
Yeah.
You're
then,
still learning your players' strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
Sure.
And I think if he had been there all year, I think there's some other things he could have taken advantage of, but I'm not going to go into that right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's fair to say that it's easier. It's easier when you have the whole season than getting thrown in mid-season.
For sure.
I don't think anyone would argue with you on that. And then kind of going back to the handshake thing a little bit, like not to bring it totally up again, but my kind of point of this was that I think that's like the ultimate evidence, and I've been saying this forever with this game, that like this is a way bigger deal to Nebraska than it is to Iowa. Like this game.
Apparently,
I would say it's hard.
They've probably felt pretty pissed off about this game for the last decade, I'm guessing, and that's why it's a bigger deal to them.
Sure.
I'll say this, and this is an opinion made of my own, not research, but just observation from being on Twitter the last 7 years since we've graduated. I don't like to let people tell me how things are in a macro sense, and so when you get the very homerish fans who are just looking to nitpick and be trolly against the other fan base, you always hear a lot of people that are even in our Discord or whatever. They're just like, oh yeah, Nebraska fans are this way. Nebraska fans all think this. But I like to actually observe what are Nebraska fans saying? What do they actually, is there anything to, and I'll say after 7 years, the vibe, the tone, the ways that they describe how they lose or why they're in a spot that they are, they truly do believe, even through the last 10 years in which we are 9-1 against them, they believe that they are better than us every time. And
at least the ones that are spouting their mouths off on social media.
Sure. That's not a blanket statement, but the ones who are talking, many of them believe that their program is ahead of ours and that they're just having to deal with bullshit right now, but their program is ahead of, like, somehow they're blind to where they are. And I think a lot of those, I mean, Kev, like it wasn't malicious or anything. It wasn't, but we lost to Wisconsin 4 out of 5 times when we were there.
Wisconsin was ahead of us.
It hurt. That hurt. And we wanted that really bad. And that might have felt like more of a rivalry to us than it did to them. It maybe because we're on the losing side of that.
Yeah, and also going back to it, Grant. Obviously, Iowa's been in the Big Ten for forever. Nebraska got realigned in 2010,
founding member,
and we were designated as their rivalry game. So they don't have any other rivalry games that they play every year.
True.
Yeah.
So Iowa is their rivalry game. I think.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, they might have. Do they have another trophy game? I don't think so. They might have one with
I think they have one with Wisconsin. Is it? It's one of them.
I don't know. So yeah, I mean, like Iowa, we've always had Iowa State. We've always played for the Pig. We started playing for the Bowl with Wisconsin in the early 2000s, and so Nebraska was just kind of lumped onto our rivalry, and we were made Nebraska's rival by the Big Ten.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then my last thing was that Jackson. Actually, I have 2 things, and one's just a statement. It's just that Jackson Stratton has never lost as a starter.
Fact.
Important point. And then Lane Kiffin loves Iowa football. He's out here retweeting box scores about Kirk Ferentz. So
Did he
appreciate it.
really?
I saw he retweeted you.
Yeah, he was retweeting me. He's out here arguing with the playoff committee and just in the middle of it, like he's talking senior day, and then just in the middle of it, he's like, "Oh, Kirk Ferentz won a game. That was cool. It's kind of funny. Shout out,
Hey,
Lennon.
Who knows?
Appreciate it.
You know?
Yeah, but I don't know. A good weekend. I don't know. Enjoyed. I'm sad the regular season is over. Football.
Aren't we all?
It is sad. Thanks for joining us on this recap episode. Lots to talk about here where, there's plenty else that happened this weekend or about this game that I'm sure will come up over the next couple weeks as we prepare for bowl season. This is not going to be like 2 of the last 3 years where at this point we were getting ready to go to Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship game. Obviously we will not be there. And neither will Ohio State.
Incredible, right?
Oregon and Penn State. So we'll preview championship weekend. We'll have plenty to talk about. There will be more opt-outs. There will be more declarations for the draft. There will be all of that as far as Iowa City goes. And we'll be here to discuss it all. Thank you guys for being here with us. It's the Walk-Ons. We'll talk to you next time.